Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This video is actually going to be a tips and tricks video as requested by my brother. Before we get into that though, as always, I would just like to say thank you guys so much for your continued support here on the channel. It really does help me out. If you find yourselves liking this video, you could do me a huge favor. Go ahead and hit that like button and consider subscribing as well. We also have our own Discord. Everybody is, of course, welcome to join that. The link for that is going to be in the description down below. Alrighty guys, as I mentioned, we're going to do a tips and tricks video today. My brother and I were playing last night, and he mentioned that some of the stuff that I've been doing was kind of neat, and that maybe other people don't know about it as well. I'm not going to claim that I am the discoverer, inventor, whatever you want to call it, of any of the things that I show you in this video. I'm sure there's plenty of other people out there doing the exact same thing, but just in case you've never seen it before, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you what I know. Alrighty guys, so the first tip that I wanted to go ahead and show you, and I've used it in my episodes a few times, but again, if anybody's new, the first tip that I have is to use the road tool to clear away like bushes and brush. So you can see all these bushes right here. Now there are, since they updated the game, or since this one came out, there's even bigger bushes now. This works really well at getting rid of all of that as well. So you can just go ahead and use the road tool to just go all over the place to get rid of all the ugly bushes that you don't want. And then you go through with your hammer in destruction mode and you just go ahead and get rid of the road. And once you're done, you're going to be left with a nice cleared out area. And there we go. Now the bushes are completely gone and you can actually see a little bit better about how much space you have to work with and what else is possibly in the area. Alright guys, and with that, my next tip is to actually use destruction mode to better line things up. So, this might seem like a really obvious one, but it might not as well. I don't know how many people actually spend time building in destruction mode, but I turn destruction mode on so that I can line things up all the time. So you can see with destruction mode, it shows you kind of where your road is, and if you could just gauge like how far away from like this center part you want something, you can literally just like line it, just go right along the whole thing with it. I use this all the time, which is why I don't build too much on camera, because the screen would look like this. It would just like, I'm sure people would get annoyed with it. But yes, very, very helpful, especially if you're building on the grid, which is another thing we're going to go into next. Okay guys, as mentioned, so my next tip is going to be to build on the grid. And what I mean by that is stuff in this game is placed, you can place stuff wherever, but the game works on a very specific grid. It works on like the compass. So north, south, east, and west. If you place things in that direction, you're going to be able to line stuff up a lot easier. So for example, I'm going to show you really quick with the road tool. If we are facing directly south, and we put a road down really quick, you can see that it's nice, clean, crisp, the lines are nice and straight, looks really, really good. Now, if I were to go on an angle, even if I were to go on like southeast, but what you're going to end up seeing is like each one of these is kind of like, it's got, like this starts here at this point, comes over to here, comes down to here, goes back up to there. And you can see those corners, and you can see it again in the next one. So then here's the point, comes over to here, comes down to here, comes back up to there. So even on southeast, now obviously the game does a pretty good job of like masking that. You don't see it unless you're like really looking for it. But things work on the north, south, east, and west compass. And it's the same thing with the fields and orchards. When you go to place a field, it places on that compass. So when you're placing your fields and you're trying to think of all your roads and everything, if you're having a hard time lining stuff up, try doing it on north, south, east, and west and see if it works any better for you. Alright guys, so for this next tip to work, you have to build on the compass, okay? And my next tip is creating flower beds. This is another thing I've done in my videos, and I have mentioned it in my videos, but again, just in case anybody is new, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put a house down. And you just, like I said, you just have to be facing north, south, east, or west. We're going to go ahead and we're going to place it down. And before you build the house up, okay, so before you build, you want to do, you can build the foundation, but you don't want to go any further than that in order for this tip to work. Because if you do, it's going to tell you that it can't do it. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to put a field down right there. And then just to show you, you can see it says there are obstacles blocking the building site. And that's because of the walls. With the walls up right here, it thinks that there's collision, that there's going to be collision when your crops grow. So if we get rid of that, you'll be able to see that now we're going to be able to put a field in. And we can get it nice and close right up to the building there. And let me go ahead really quick and hoe these out. And you are going to notice that it sticks out just a tad on the other side of the house, which is fine. I'm going to show you guys how I fixed that as well. Alright, so the next thing that you're going to want to do is go into destruction mode, and then what I do after this is I like to place down the low fences. I'm so glad they added those to the game, because before that wasn't obviously possible. But the next thing that you're going to want to do, and actually I like to start over here, because this is where my path is going to be, is I will take the low fences and create a little flower bed. And then, you know, the side of the house you can always decorate with benches and all kinds of other things. And again, if you want to be able to get things as close as possible, don't build your structure yet, because the walls and, you know, the framing, it just kind of makes it so that, like, the game thinks that things are in the way when they're really not. And just to show you guys what this ends up looking like in the end, I did it over here with the resource storage. During the summertime, I always put poppies in these little flower beds, but during the summertime, that's what you end up getting. I mean, you can put whatever you want in them. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. But I use the poppies, and this is what your houses will end up looking like during the summertime. Alrighty guys, the next thing that I wanted to mention is using different materials on your houses in different slots, just to give it an added, you know, break up the monotony, so to speak. So this was something I was just showing my brother last night as well. He really liked that. So when I make the smaller houses, let me just go ahead and place one down if it'll let me. Okay, there we go. So when I make the smaller houses, I will have, like, these walls be completely different from the one above. So, for example, I am going to make them stone for the purpose of this demonstration. And then with the stone houses, I like to make that part wood. So, okay, there we go. So that's what it ends up looking like. And something else I told my brother is when you're doing it on the other houses as well, you can even do it, like, down here. So, for example, it doesn't look as good on this house. This was something I was just showing him. I don't want to break it, though, because then the lady that's living there, I'm going to have to put her back into the house. So I'm going to leave her there for a second, and we're going to go ahead and destroy all of this. Let me see if it'll let me put down a simple house really quick. Okay, there we go. So this is going to be a lot easier to show you guys on one of these houses. We'll say, like, the door here. We'll make the door wood, and we'll go ahead and make these sides here stone. And I'll show you guys what that looks like. Alright, there we go. And so you can do all kinds of creative things with your builds. I do have some shutters unlocked, so I'll go ahead and throw those in so you guys can see what those look like as well. There you go. That's what your house will end up looking like. And I think it really helps give the buildings some more texture, helps break up the monotony. And yeah, you can do it on the sides as well. Like I said, that's what I like to do for these houses. Normally I like to do the wood, and then periodically I'll just do this as well. That's it for that tip. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go to the last tip that I have. This last tip, guys, I was messing around a lot last night with fences because I really liked the way some of the fences looked in some of the towns that they had. And I noticed that with these really big new log fences that they have, you can actually get the stone fences really, really close to them. This is a stone fence on both sides of it, so I can come down here and I can show you what I mean by that. We're going to go ahead and take this out, and we're going to grab our stone fence. And if you get really, really close, just as close as it'll let you get, you can actually go pretty inside, for lack of a better term, the other fence. Now let me go ahead and build this, and I'll show you what that ends up looking like. Okay, so there's that from this side. Now if we come to the other side, you'll see that the wooden log is kind of sticking out a little bit, which, not a big deal. I don't necessarily hate it, but my brother had asked, well, can you put a stone fence on the other side as well? And we discovered last night that you absolutely can. This might be kind of close to the road, so we're going to find out if it'll let me do it here. But obviously, I did do it over here on this side, so it is 100% doable. We're going to go ahead and see if it'll let us. Okay, so it's not going to let me because my fences are too close to the road here. But I did see that there was a section of it that it is going to let me do it. Okay, that's where it stops letting me. So we're going to go to where it will let us. Place it down and build it just so you guys can see 100% possible, and this is what it ends up looking like when you're done. And going right along with that last tip, guys, I was also experimenting with the new gateways as well to find out what kind of designs we could do with that. And you can build fences in between the gateways, and you can still sandwich the stone fences around that as well. So we get something like this going on, and we were also kind of experimenting and talking about building like a little park with it, which I can show you over here. Here, guys, I have a ghost image going. This is where I started a little park. Gonna put some benches down, and this is hopefully just gonna be a place that people can come in and just relax. And I'm gonna put some torches and stuff down as well. This is where we're at right now with it. But you can see I went ahead and I did the fence trick like I was just showing you. So we've got our log fence in there and then the stone fences. And I think it's going to look really nice in the end. I also have ideas of doing something similar to this to make a marketplace. But what I want to do instead with these gateways, I'm going to show you guys really quickly. We want log gates and this. So what I did for these, by the way, is I just placed them on the like facing west and east. And, you know, when you place it, just make sure that you're facing the way that you want to face. Go ahead and place it, and then just immediately move to the left or the right. And there you go. You'll see that it'll just let you place it. Now, what I wanted to do, what I was thinking about would actually be really cool for a market. We're going to go back into build mode, as I was hoping, and this is going to be a little bit trickier to line up, but I thought it would look a lot nicer for a market. So what I was thinking is we place one on, you know, southern axis, and then we're going to face southwest instead. And I'm actually going to go a little bit closer so I can see what's going on here. And I'm going to line this up right with that post if I can. Alright, so that's about as close as I think I can get to that being lined up. So now we're just going to go over until it lets us place it. There we go. And then we're going to do the same thing, but this time I'm going to face west. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and line this up as best we can. There we go. And then I'm thinking, so I'm thinking that for a marketplace, it might look a little bit better if it's in like a circular shape. Let's see if this will let me do this again really quick. Get like a half circle going on here and give you guys a better idea of what it'll look like. Okay, there we go. So that's our half circle. So then we could continue around the other way and maybe even make this last opening one of these other ones, the simple one, instead. And then we could go ahead, place the fences around it, and I feel like this would look really, really good for a little marketplace. Alright guys, and the last thing that I want to mention going right along with the fence trick is you can do it with a variety of the fences. So my brother had a question for me last night if we could do it with the other fences as well, so we went ahead and we gave that a shot, and you can. This is what it ends up looking like. Now, in order to get this result though, I did realize that you have to line it up with these posts. You can, because when you put it like right here, for example, like if I come out here, that's as close as I can get to this fence with those posts. If I wanted to, however, you can line it up closer with the wall if you go past the post. So like this is as close as I can get to that post, but you can see like I can get significantly closer to the fence. You just have to watch the post there. There we go. But then of course, you know, this is what it's going to end up looking like. You're going to have your posts there and there's going to be a huge break in it. So we decided to go ahead and just try doing it next to the post just to see how that would look. And this is what it ends up looking like. So it helps break up the monotony, helps gives your walls another little bit of a texture, so to speak. Alright guys, so there you go. That is all the tips and tricks that I have discovered so far. Again, some of these you guys might already know. There might be some that you guys do as well that I don't know, and if that's the case, absolutely go ahead and leave those down in the comments for me so that I can check them out. And if there's anything you want me to showcase, feel free to let me know. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out. I really hope everybody has a fantastic rest of the day. I hope to see everybody come back for the next video, and until then, bye guys!